we've seen a lot of changes in our industry. I mean, the internet certainly has made a lot accessible to potential clients. What other changes do you think, since you've started this, that you've seen that have been significant for our industry?
Well, I think the trickle-down effect from the internet and the proliferation of the computer use and everything else has had an effect on how we operate in the business, what our clients expect of us because we have all this access that we didn't have before, and then also the fact that our clients are accessing those same things. Mm-hmm. You know, they're all online telling you what they saw in First Dibs. Mm-hmm. And we have great access to shopping, you know, between things like, you know, First Dibs and V&M and all these websites. And I think clients have higher expectations of that. And some have become a real pain in the neck because they have this new knowledge of what's available out there, they think, because it's online. But there's so much more available out there. And, you know, they tell you what they found and stuff like that.
But how do you, I mean, I think one of the challenges we see with clients doing that is how to communicate the value of what your services are, that anybody can buy anything.
Look, I'm not in the widget business, okay? We're in the package business. Mm-hmm. And I always say that really what we do is it's the magic that exists in between all those chairs. It's not the chairs themselves. It's not the objects. It's, you know, what's the magic in the atmosphere that we can create? In addition to the skill to do the right thing, pick the right things, you know, and make the right judgments and decisions. But really it's about the magic, mm-hmm. you know, making it beautiful.
But as an industry, I think we have a responsibility to communicate that, and I'm not sure we've been so great at that.
The industry communicating?
The value of our services.
Well, and that goes sort of back to, you know, how would you advise young people today when they're starting their business? You know, I think the power, there's no more empowering word in the English language than no. Mm-hmm. No, I'm sorry, we don't do it that way. No, I'm sorry, that's not in your contract. No, I'm sorry, this is, you know, no, I won't do that. Mm-hmm. You have to always, I think, sometimes remind your clients why it is they hired you in the first place.
Right.
You know, and what are the value that you're creating. Look, people are never going to know unless you occasionally remind them. And I don't mean remind them like you're asking for a pat on the back, but you need to be clear with a client, and the client's got to be clear with you. And we talked about this, really, what is decorating really but problem solving. Mm-hmm. Problem solving and managing expectations. Creating beauty, of course, but, you know, those things are really important. And if a client is not straight with you with the questions that you ask them, then how can you get them where they want to get? So we have to learn how to probe and ask all those questions.
Well, my favorite comment is always, well, there is no budget. I'm like, okay, we're going to spend $2 million. Mm-hmm. Well, no, I'm not going to spend that. So there's a budget.
There is a budget. There's always a budget. Yes, but you know, to be fair, I think there are a lot of people that don't have a specific number. They've got a range, mm-hmm. and when you throw a number out there and it shocks them, then you can bring it back down to reality.
Right. You learn their threshold pretty quickly.
Yeah, you learn that threshold.
So when we first sat down, you were saying how you, in your townhouse, you had a shop there. You've had 2 shops in your career, correct?
Well, yes. That was when I first started retail in 1985, was in the ground floor of our townhouse. And then it became very clear to me in a very short period of time that all the customers that were coming down to 10th Street were from uptown. So it was like, well, we don't make one thing you never do is make your customers work so hard. So don't make your customers commute, make it easy for them. So we took the shop uptown. And we went to 131 East 70th Street, which is where Creel and Company is now, Creel and Gow. And then we moved to Lexington Avenue. So I did that for 10 years.
And then you did it again.
And then I did it again, Keith. Yes, I did. Yes. The first time I did it, you know, I think anybody that does retail and anybody that's here that's a retailer, you love it and you hate it. I mean, it is a psycho relationship that you have with retail. The first run was, I should have quit. I should have just never done it. But I did it. And I think I bit off something bigger than I could chew. It didn't leave time for anything in my life. Mm-hmm. My husband was always calling me, asking me if I was going to make it home for dinner. There was no time. And I think that was a big wake-up call to me, that while I have a huge amount of energy and capacity, that I had my limits. Mm-hmm. Boy, did I ever, yeah.
I mean, the comments today are how stunningly beautiful it was and how amazing it was. So, never again?
Never
Maybe?
again. Remind me of that, would you, please? Never again. You know, every once in a while I'm someplace lecturing and somebody comes up to me and said, would you consult? We have a retail store in town. You know, that kind of thing. I would consult, but I never want to own the bricks and mortar. I never want to own the inventory again. Because also, I think as you get a little bit older, you want to be, I just want to be mobile. Mm-hmm. I just want to be mobile. I want to be able to go and do. And that's really ball and chain. Mm-hmm. It really is ball and chain. But I love creating it. I mean, it was, you know.
So would you call those the biggest challenges of your career, or is there something else that you would identify?
That was definitely a huge challenge. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was 7 days a week, long hours. You know, I think some of the biggest challenges are related to people. You know, how do you decide who you're going to work for? How can you read them? You know, there's no crystal ball. You know, are they being honest with me? Is this really going to, you know, be what it's going to be? When you're hiring people sometimes, I think, you know, you and I have talked about these things a lot of times. It's really about working with people, clients, vendors, and your staff that share your values, that really share your values. That's really critical, I think, more than anything else. Your work ethic. I think your work ethic.
Right.
Look, I never push anybody to do how I push myself, but I do expect for people that work with me to have you know, they've got standards for themselves mm-hmm. that are high standards.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
you only go around once. What the hell? You know. So if you don't have a high standard, then where are you going to be? You're going to be like the rest of the, you know, people out there working 9 to 5.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know, I always say when you're thinking about hiring an employee, you know, the unfortunate thing is you don't get to date; you have to marry them. You know, there's not that sort of experimental.
Date. You can figure that out. You can figure out how to date somebody for a while. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, when you figure that out, will you share that with everybody?
Yeah, well, later. Yeah.
Well, great. So, products. We've done a lot together, and you've got lots more in that head of yours. Is there anything out there that you haven't designed that you really would love to design?
Mm. Somebody asked me that in Miami recently, and I said I wanted to do a fabulous tricked-out RV. You know,
Hello.
Just like the chicest RV. And then I'm going to take off and start in Richmond and just do the South. I want to see every historic home that I haven't seen. I want to see historic gardens. You know, I want to go to the foodie towns. I want to go to Mississippi and hear jazz. You know, I want to see that part of America in a way that I really haven't seen it in my tricked out RV. Okay.
Really?
So what else? I would love to design some chic travel wear for women, and I would probably stand in airports around America and sell it myself and rip those tracksuits off. And, you know, so chic travel gear. What else? I think I want to go back in the fragrance business. You know, I really like that. You know, our license ended with Agraria, and I love fragrance. I'm really a fragrance freak. So to not be in that world working with a perfumer is sort of like, you know, a gap for me. I love fragrance. And what else? Garden and outdoor related things, I think. Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, I think I hate to talk about other things when I'm doing things, because we're doing fabric, we're getting ready to work on a second collection. I'd love to be able to do more furniture one day, but first we have to sell the first collection. The carpets have done well, but I'd like to do more of that. But I think, do what I'm doing better and more of it. And trick out my RV. Yeah.
All right. I will call Winnebago tomorrow. So let's go back to students for a second, since there are quite a few in the audience.
Yeah, how many do we have, students?
Wow, nice. So do you think that we do a good enough job, I mean, I'll tell you what I think, but you tell me, with educating our students on this practice as a business to make them, active, functioning employees when they first get out?
I have to be honest. I really haven't studied the curriculums of the various design schools to see what they teach on the business side. Although, I'm going to lecture at SCAD this year, and I'm going to familiarize myself with their program. But judging by some of the students that I've interviewed and people that I've talked to, other students, I think there's a gap in there somewhere. There's a miss on the human side of our business, that it's not about the damn electrical plans and the plumbing and the this. It's about the humanness, because this is I'm in a personal service business. Aside from the licensing and writing books, your clients, that is like, you're going to marry them. We're starting a project now that won't finish until probably the end of 2015. So you're going to be married to that person a long time. If people don't have those people skills, which the schools can prepare them with about how you manage your client business, not just about all the functions in interior design. How you follow up with people, how you make phone calls, how you write a letter. How you like that? Right, how you write a letter, not just an email. All sorts of things. Mm-hmm. It's the human side of the business.
I agree. And I do think that Parsons, as well as SCAD, which have a great program, that they really are, upping that side of their business and their side of their teaching, so that they do create more well-rounded students.
Yeah. It's back to that managing expectations again. You have to be able to look somebody in the face and read their face. And then you've got to hear what they say, but then you've got to hear what they didn't say. And so I just think there's some instinctive things in there that either you have them or you don't. And more than anything, you got to be a good listener. Right. Decorating, designing, we're selling all day long. Architects, you're sitting down with the client, you are a salesperson all day long. And good salespeople listen. Mm-hmm. They don't talk.
Right. Well,
as I say, it's their nickel. They can talk all they want. And then they expect the right answers from me, but they don't expect me to be the dominating the discussion.
Well, like I say in my book, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen twice as much as we speak.
Yes, yeah. That's the formula.
Yeah.
Good advice, Keith. You should write another book. You should write another book.
I'm thinking about it.
Good.
Well, wait. That'll probably come out when your house is finished.
When my house is finished.
The 2015 house.
Dear, I hope not. Remember, one every 2 years.
Right. Do you, talking about your clients now, do you have clients that you wish you had said no to from the beginning?
Oh my God, yes.
Why?
Yeah, and anybody in here that laughed that doesn't think that's the case, there's always someone that you wished you'd said no to. Because we don't have a crystal ball, and we can't predict how people's behavior. You think things look good on paper, and in real life they don't. Mm-hmm.
And
I
the
could
reverse?
talk real openly about that one. We could do that later.
Okay,
yeah.
Over a cocktail. The opposite of that, are there clients that you did say no to in hindsight you wish you hadn't?
Yes. I think, look, you can't take it all on. You know, it's just not realistic. You know, it's back to those expectations again. Got existing clients. You know, you have to look at the project timeline and where all the peaks are going to be and how they might overlap with other projects. And then sometimes it just doesn't work. You know, there's one that got away that I didn't take on that in Virginia that I really wished I had. They were really nice people, really beautiful property, great opportunity, you know, all the right things, but the time just wasn't right for me.
Right.
You know, so that's a bummer. But, you know, the beat goes on.
Exactly.
You know, there are other people out there.
For sure. So, any profession, who do you admire most?
You know, I just obviously can't pin it on one person. You know, I thought about that. It's impossible to just say that there's one person that you admire the most.
Couple.
You know? Well, you know, no, I think it's qualities in people. You know, I think everybody here has redeeming features, redeeming qualities. And, you know, look, we're not perfect, but we all have redeeming qualities, and you can learn from everybody. And I think people are like one of our greatest natural resources. And sometimes we forget that, you know, the person sitting next to you could be the greatest influence in your life one day, maybe. You just never know. It doesn't have to be somebody famous, somebody, you know, whatever, brilliant. It can just be the simplest thing that sparks something in you. And, you know, my mother used to always say, you know, you got to find that thing in someone. I know that didn't answer your question, but... You know.
That's all right. We won't name names tonight. What are you certain of?
I am certain of today. You know, I am certain of today. I mean, and I'm certain that the change in our business will continue to change and be more, and maybe even accelerate and be more rapid. There's very little that I'm certain of, but it's today. Today, I've got to get up, I had to go to my warehouse today, spend 4 hours getting ready for a big auction at Doyle, you know, doing the glamorous stuff in the blue jeans today, tagging inventory to go to a sale. You know, just had to be focused on that. That's what I had to, that's all I know is what I can do today and do it the best I can.
That's great. Great advice. So what legacy would you like to leave?